Well, hello everybody. We've just gone to the top of the hour, so we might kick off. So, on behalf of the Australasian College for Road Safety local government network, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our final meeting for 2025. And today we are having a webinar where we've got three presentations that were part of the program for this year's Australasian Road Safety Conference from Perth. And these three presentations, our committee thought were quite relevant to local government. So we hope that you all enjoy those. Very warm welcome if you're joining us for your first LGN event, and I extend that warm welcome to our presenters and to the regulars that are on the line with us today. For those that don't know me, my name is Melanie Suter. I'm the chair of the Local Government Network, and in my day job, I'm the Road Safety Officer for Parks, Forbes, and Lachlan Shire Councils, who are located right in the middle of New South Wales. So I've got a little bit of housekeeping to get through first, just to set up what we're going to do today, and then I will hand it over to our presenters, and we'll come back for some questions and answers at the end. So next slide, thanks. So kicking off with an acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge and pay our respects to the many First Nations of Australia who continue to be the sovereign custodians of their countries and the sovereignty of the Maori in New Zealand. We acknowledge the ongoing traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work and learn, and pay our respects to elders who have passed on the legacy of knowledge and culture to the future generations. May this sharing of knowledge through Matarunga Maori and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander ways of knowing, being and doing guide you with wisdom and courage as it enhances our collective futures. Next slide. So I just wanted to take a moment to tell you a little bit more about what the Local Government Network is all about, if this is your first meeting. So the Local Government Network is comprised of members of the Australasian College for Road Safety who want to focus on road safety through a local government lens. So our members either predominantly work directly for local governments, or they work with organisations that work with local government and have an interest in what local government is doing in this space, such as state road authorities, consultants, local government associations and the like. We meet once a month. It's usually this time, so if you want to put a placeholder in your calendar, it'll be the second Wednesday of the month at 2 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. It is at the moment, so Sydney time. And we have a different meeting format, a more formal webinar like this. It might be just a meeting where we're chatting about your successes for the year, such as our last meeting. Or my personal favourite is our open mic sessions where members can ask for help with issues that they might be having from the brains trust of members that have dialed in. So the exceptions to those is every month is January, where we're having the month off, and October, where we actually hold a face-to-face event at the conference. But basically what the network exists for is to provide our members with opportunities to connect with people and with ideas that they wouldn't have ordinarily have come across in their day-to-day business as usual life. So that's why we're here. And if you've got a case study that you'd love to share with the network next year, we would love to hear from you. Nothing is too big or too small. Doesn't matter if it was a really successful project or a dumpster fire. We would love to hear from you so that we can share those experiences with the rest of the network. Next slide. Thank you. So housekeeping for today, we're running for 60 minutes, so we'll have you out of here by 3 o'clock. The webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to access it in about a week's time in the members area of the college's website. And while you're there, please feel free to browse our back catalogue of webinars that you might have missed throughout the year. And we are holding all the questions for the end of the webinar, and I'll tell you how to ask a question on the next slide. Thank you. So to ask a question, if you're new to Zoom, it's at the bottom of your screen. It looks like the Q&A button there, as you can see. So just type your questions into there. If you want to make general comments, chats for, I will do my very best to get through as many of the Q&A as we can in our 15 minutes. If I don't get to yours, or you're a bit shy and you want to talk to the presenters offline, they are going to drop their email addresses into the chat, and you're very welcome to contact them after the webinar. Next slide. All right, so that's it from me. I'm going to hand it over to the presenters now. So I just wanted to say a very big thank you to these 5 wonderful people who have come along to share their time and knowledge with us today and to reprise their presentations from the conference in Perth. So first up, we're going to be hearing about Queensland's road safety governance framework. Next up, we'll be hearing from from Mornington Peninsula Shire Council about roundabouts, and then finally the City of Salisbury's Safe Journeys Action Plan. So thank you to all of those presenters, and I will introduce you now. So let's go to our first presenters. Next slide, thanks. So let me introduce Tracey and Lucinda from Queensland's Department of Transport and Main Roads. So Tracey Houghton is the manager of Queensland's Road Safety Program, and Lucinda Edmunds is the Strategic Governance Advisor for the Road Safety Program. And as I said, they're going to be talking to us about Queensland's Road Safety Governance Framework. So Tracey, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Melanie. All right. Can we just go to the, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Tracey Houghton. I'm the manager of the Queensland Road Safety Program Management Office with the Department of Transport and Main Roads in Queensland, and co-presenting with me today is Lucinda Edmunds, who is the Strategic Governance Advisor for the QRS program. And before we start, I just wanted to acknowledge that this presentation offers a really high-level overview of our work, and there is a wealth of detail that sits behind all of this. So if you do want any further information, please reach out to us. Our contact details are on the last slide. Next slide, please. Road safety governance and management were identified at a national level as key areas for improvement across all of the jurisdictions, beginning with the 2018 inquiry into the National Road Safety Strategy. A key finding of the report pointed to implementation failure resulting from various factors relating to governance, accountability, and reporting. So in this context, a reform of the existing road safety governance practices in Queensland was a key consideration into the development of the Queensland Road Safety Strategy that was launched in 2022. This was reinforcing our commitment to the national road safety goals. The new strategy explicitly called for a strategic leadership group to oversee implementation and drive accountability that marked a shift from previous approaches. For us in Queensland, this led to the creation of the Queensland Road Safety Governance Framework and the program. So the governance framework was developed as a transformational approach to road safety governance aimed at breaking down the silos and driving coordinated evidence-based decision-making and leadership. It really fosters cross-government, industry and academia to ensure that road safety initiatives are aligned, transparent and accountable. Next slide, please.
All right, so I'll just run through our actual Queensland Road Safety Governance Framework. So in our framework, you can see at the top there, we have the Queensland Road Safety Board, which is our key accountable decision-making body of the whole program. The board is made up from representation across agencies, which includes Transport and Main Roads, our Queensland Police Service and our Queensland Revenue Office, with also broader interest in regards to being a part of our program, just most recently from the Department of Health. So the board is supported by two key committees, which we refer to as the Camera Detector Defence Program Committee and the Road Safety Initiative and Investment Committee. Now, these two committees operate at that strategic and operational level and play a key role in really providing advice and recommendations up to the board while managing the operational elements and making sure that that's kept at an appropriate level so that the board can focus on those strategic decisions. So our Camera Detector Defence Program, its primary focus is on the end-to-end infringement lifecycle and ensuring the operations and efficiency and effectiveness of those operations. So that's our camera program that is out and operating out on the network all the way through to the end of the process of infringements and actually prosecutions. The Road Safety Initiative and Investment Committee, their core focus is on the road safety initiatives, as it says in their name. So it's in regards to the funding that supports our program. It is what we refer to as the excess revenue in addition to what covers off on our admin and operations, which is where our Camera Detector Defence program sits. So they focus on ensuring that what we're investing in is providing a return on investment in reducing that road trauma out on our roads. These groups are then supported by what we refer to as our working groups. So you can see down on the bottom left-hand corner there, we have an Information Communication Technology Working Group. And now their core focus is around all the systems that support our end-to-end infringement life cycle. So for the purposes of Queensland, we've got a lot of systems that are legacy, that are not fit for purpose anymore necessarily, or need collective collaboration, in the sense of we've made a number of organisational adjustments in how we operate things from an infringement process. So leveraging opportunities to really enhance how our systems support that. Our enforcement and coordination group, their core focus is the enforcement activities predominantly that sit outside of our camera program. So we have a lot of Queensland Police Service high visibility activities, as well as Queensland Revenue Office undertaking relevant enforcement activities as well. And so their core focus is around ensuring that those activities are targeted and focused to where they should be, and that again, they're also trying to provide that biggest return on investment from a perspective of where we direct our enforcement activities. Research and evaluation group, so they play a real key role in driving the whole program from that data-driven analysis perspective, and ensuring that particularly the Road Safety Initiative Investment Committee and then subsequently the board have the information at hand and understand what the trends are and what the data is telling us in regards to where those problem areas are, in particular in respect to road safety trauma. And that all feeds into our investment cycle, which I'll talk to shortly, but they play a key role in that process. And representation is a bit broader in that group. So we've also got representation in there from our Insurance Commission, and then also we've got a Road Safety Data Bureau, so they're represented in that group as well. Then you can see on the right-hand side there, we've got a couple of external stakeholder advisory groups. So our academia advisory group is made up of 6 members across a number of universities, and they really work closely with that research and evaluation group in providing insights and intel into the sorts of research activities they have underway, what that information is telling them, and whether that aligns with what our data and our information is telling us around those focus areas for road trauma. The Road Safety Stakeholder Partnering Group is made up of private sector, industry, and a few other organisations that are represented in the road safety sector. We've got about 16 key organisations that form up part of that group, and they play a key role in working with the Road Safety Initiative Investment Committee, again from an alignment perspective around what is the information and the data and the trends telling us in regards to those focus areas for road trauma, but also providing insights into the kinds of activities and programs that they have underway, so that what we're aiming not to do is to duplicate our investment activities, particularly from a governance perspective for government. And then on the far left-hand side there is our Program Management Office. So that is the PMO that Tracey is the manager of. This PMO provides support to all of our governance forums, all the processes and practices that support these forums. So secretariat duties, reporting duties, managing the annual planning process is probably those key elements that they provide all that guidance and insight to, and ensure that everyone has the information at hand to be able to make the decisions that they need to make. So one of the key shifts of this program for us from what we previously had in place is really shifting to that cross-agency approach and having the accountability and responsibility of the road safety direction sitting across those 3 core agencies that do play a key role in road safety. Just next one, please. So this is an overview of our investment framework. So as you can see there, we've got 4 key phases that we operate through. So the first phase is our align phase, and this is where we're defining what are our strategic priorities. So what this looks like in practice is a strategic align workshop that gets undertaken in June each year, and we have representation at that from the board and some of our key committees. And that research and evaluation advisory group I mentioned, they will develop up a report that provides insights and direction around where those road safety issues are, and that will inform the broad discussion that happens at that board or at that workshop, sorry, in that June meeting. So what comes out of that then is our program priorities for the following year's annual planning process. So that then gets shared broadly with all the key stakeholders around what are the key areas that we're really wanting to make sure we've got some focus on in regards to our investment activities. The assess stage is once our applications come in, so we open up to request all applications, and then we do a process of QA on those applications, so making sure they're complete and that they are eligible for camera detected offence program. So that phase looks at things like, is all the information at hand? Is it eligible? Do they have things like evaluation processes in place to ensure that they can demonstrate the benefits of the initiatives, and then any other key information in regards to that. We then move on to analyse. So this gets undertaken through around that October to November phase, and this is where our forums play a key role in reviewing all the applications and then making a determination of how individual and collective proposals do contribute to the strategic objectives we're trying to achieve. So what we also introduced this year was a prioritisation approach that sat over the top of that, so that we could actually prioritise the initiatives and essentially have a bit of a ranking in regards to what we think were the number one initiatives around providing the highest return on investment versus those that may not have as high a return on investment or deliver against those strategic objectives that we're trying to achieve. Our final stage is approve, and that's also making sure we've got the required funds available to allocate to the proposed program and ensuring that we do have that best use of investment. So our board that will then put forward a recommended program that gets put up through government through our Cabinet Budget Review Committee process, and then government makes the final determination of that they agree with the allocation of those funds for those initiatives. As noted there, the QRS PMO supports this whole process, and the real intent and drive of this process is to have proactive and evidence-based decision-making, making sure our funds are directed towards those initiatives with the greatest impact and that we're targeting those high priority areas. Thank you. Next slide.
So for us, the program's been established for just over 2 years now, and through the implementation of both the framework and the program, there's been several key insights that have come up throughout the establishment of all of this. So the first one is a shared vision amongst all participants is essential. And that means essentially every member that is involved, from the working groups, the committee and the board, must understand and be aligned to the overall vision. Change management needs to be recognised as a necessary ongoing process and not a one-off activity. The third one is robust practices and procedures are really critical to support the decision making. And it's really important to have a staged implementation of these practices and processes and make sure that they are communicated with all the stakeholders really clearly. It also includes ensuring that there is a solid supporting and enabling function, such as a program management office that has the adequate resources assigned. Next slide, please. So where to from here for us? We will continue to evaluate and evolve all of our operations within the program, drawing on the lessons that we've learned, the experience and the evidence-based insights, which really helps us to identify what needs to be adapted or enhanced in the future. And the ongoing reflection just ensures that we remain aligned with our strategic goals and we're responsive to the emerging needs of the program. Thank you. And please, as I said, reach out directly if you would like any further information.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tracey and Lucinda.
Thank you.
I can see a question in there, so that's great. If you've got any questions about that presentation, please pop them in the Q&A and we'll put them to the presenters at the end. All right, let's keep moving. So next slide, thanks. So our next presenter is Mathew McQuinn. He's the Principal Transport Engineer for Mornington Peninsula Shire Council. So Matt's going to be talking about the rural compact roundabouts within the Mornington Shire Peninsula. And congratulations, Matt, because this was the winner this year of the Excellence in Road Safety Award as well, that was presented in Perth at the conference. So we're all really keen to hear about your project. I'll hand over to you.
Well, as Mel said, I'm Matt McQuinn, Principal Transport Engineer at Mornington Peninsula Shire, and today we're talking about rural compact roundabouts and in particular a local government perspective. So on the next slide, the Mornington Peninsula is among the worst local government areas in Victoria for road trauma, so we have a big challenge in front of us. More broadly, to meet Vision Zero targets globally, safe system infrastructure must be implemented widely on the road network, transforming the network to be forgiving to prevent fatal and serious injury crashes. But with limited funding, road authorities need to be cost efficient, yet effective treatments to address key crash types. Today we'll be talking about addressing rural intersection risk with compact roundabouts, where we explored, designed, constructed 2 rural compact roundabouts in high-speed environments, and I'll be taking you through the problem, solution, result, and outcome. So on the next slide, a significant amount of road trauma occurs at intersections, accounting for around 40% of fatal and serious injury crashes within the Mornington Peninsula, and these are 2 examples that we sought to treat. We have many crossroad intersections in high-speed environments, but limited funding to make the intersections safe, so we need effective yet cost-efficient solutions. On the next slide is a comparison between the difference in probability of death at 50 kilometres per hour and 80 kilometres per hour. With complex split-second decisions made in intersections, it's easy to make mistakes, and the consequences could be tragic due to high collision speeds and poor crash angle, well above the 50 km per hour safe system threshold in right-angle crashes, resulting in many of our intersections having ongoing crash history. And we're actually finding that crash rates are starting to increase over time as time goes by. On the next slide, we think about what are the potential solutions. Roundabouts are good safe system intersection treatments that reduce both the likelihood and severity of crashes, but roundabouts can be expensive, particularly in high-speed environments that require large central islands and S-shaped reverse curves on approaches to create horizontal deflection to slow vehicles on approach down to safe speeds. And if they're not designed carefully, there's quite a few examples where these roundabouts can still have issues with high vehicle speeds. These roundabouts might also need utility service relocations, bulk earthworks, land acquisition and native vegetation removal. And some recent roundabouts on high-speed state-managed roads in Victoria that I'm aware of have cost $8 to $10 million. In terms of solution, on the next slide, where we arrived at, to address cost and space constraints at the 2 intersections, we developed innovative compact roundabout designs that incorporate vertical deflection with speed hums, which we call race safety platforms, to gradually slow approaching vehicles from the 80 km per hour speed limit to a race safety platform designed at 60 km per hour and a race safety platform designed at 30 km per hour with an adequate advanced warning signage as shown on the diagram, eliminating the need for reverse curves and allowing smaller central islands that still accommodate large vehicles. So essentially minimising we're trying to maximising the amount that we're keeping to the existing footprint of the intersection to reduce cost and impact. As a side note, our designs are a little bit different from some of the state-managed Department of Transport and Planning compact roundabouts that have been built, and stick more to the footprint than those ones, and therefore have significantly lower costs even than those compact roundabouts in rural environments. A comparison on the next slide. These 2 images are scaled to each other. They're at the same scale, so you can see the size difference between a reverse curve roundabout on the left and one of our compact roundabouts on the right. So with the footprints highlighted in yellow, so the traditional roundabout on the left is about 14,000 square metres of footprint, and our compact on the right in the same speed environment is about 2,000 square metres, so about the traditional roundabout's about 7 times the footprint. On the next slide, for one of our combat roundabout sites, we overlaid a conventional roundabout design. So you can see the difference in size with the central island, the size of what the central island would be with a conventional roundabout shown in red or orange, the curb lines in yellow, and the land required, including land acquisition, in pink. So quite a stark difference. Key design decisions on the next slide for an affordable design that we tailored to the context of these roads included the central island diameter, road safety platform specifications, platform spacing, lighting, mountable areas, truck turning movements, truck stability considerations, which we did truck stability modelling, and signage. And on the next slide, it shows what the finished products look like at the 2 intersections. The final all-inclusive costs, including the design, the project management, and construction, was about $1.5 million per site, which is a large cost saving relative to state-managed roundabouts built by Department of Transport and Planning in similar road environments. Some photos on the next slide of what they look like for context. So top left, number 1 is approaching the roundabout. You start to see the warning signage that a roundabout's coming up. Number 2 in the top right, there's advanced warning signage of the 60 km/h race safety platforms. Bottom left, number 3, you're about to encounter the 60 km/h platform. Number 4 in the bottom right, you're about to encounter the 30 km/h platform just before the roundabout. And on the next slide is what the roundabout looks like at ground level on the left. And then after you depart the roundabout, our rural compact roundabouts have the race safety platform going across the whole road width. So you do encounter it on the exit, but it does seem to work well with the location of the platform being about the location that you would naturally accelerate to around 60 km/h. So it's not an issue and works well, as I said. The state-managed Department of Transport and Planning combat roundabouts generally have a long central splitter island running down past this point so that vehicles don't encounter a vertical deflection on the departure, but it obviously adds to the cost, needing road widening, more pavement, relocating table drains, and that sort of thing, which adds a lot of additional cost, which we sought to avoid. In terms of outcome, on the next slide, we used Compass IoT connected vehicle data to assess the effectiveness of each roundabout in achieving safe system threshold speeds of 50 km/h at the roundabout conflict points or less. So the tables show that the roundabouts achieve both mean and 85th percentile speeds at the conflict points that are well below 50 km/h. As shown on the histograms on the left, no vehicles were reported entering at more than 50 km/h in the after period, with most approaches showing no entries above 40 km/h. There was also a comprehensive evaluation recently completed by Road Safety Victoria on compact roundabouts in Victoria, which included these 2 sites, which basically confirmed these findings and actually showed that compact roundabouts are more safe than traditional roundabouts, although both quite good safe system performance. So in summary, on the next slide, the two rural compact roundabouts have been shown to be effective in achieving safe system aligned performance at a significantly lower cost than conventional reverse curve roundabouts in similar road environments. While some believe that compact roundabouts or changing from a traditional roundabout design may have disadvantages relative between compact and traditional, we've recorded very few issues with the 2 roundabouts. A small minority of people didn't like the aesthetic of the race safety platforms and the advanced warning signage, and would prefer not to drive over the vertical deflection on departure of the roundabout. But we've received very minimal negative feedback, despite some passionate community objectors during the project development phase. So essentially, effective yet lower cost roundabouts has the potential to assist in wider implementation of safe system infrastructure on the path to Vision Zero compared to conventional designs, and accelerating the transformation of the road network to be safe system where crashes are less likely and death or serious injury not the result, by simply constructing more treatments within available budgets. On the next slide, in terms of how these type of treatments can be facilitated for wider implementation, there are some industry changes needed I would say, such as knowledge sharing about what's being done and what's working, less traditional thinking, and being open to new ideas, changes to standards and guidelines, which is in the works in Victoria based on these projects that I've been showing and other combat roundabouts in Victoria, and a keener safe system safety lens in everything we do. Finally, on to the last slide. In terms of local government, if there's anyone who likes the look of these or is already considering them, some perspective from our experience is that it helps to have an overall road safety vision. So ideally, an organisation would have that. We adopted Towards Zero with a vision for zero deaths and serious injuries, which helps sharpen our focus and understanding internally and with the community about what our problems are and what we're trying to achieve. Embracing innovation. So it's as much of a mindset as it is the engineering technical knowledge and skills, but having updated guidelines is one thing and is good, but ultimately it needs practitioners to be open to new ideas, less focus about the way that things have always been done, and recognising that traditional ways are not necessarily the best or the only way. You often encounter when doing something different that people will come up with reasons or excuses why something can't be done, but it's always important to ask why and why the things have been traditionally done and why they can't be different, which may take a little bit of courage, but yeah, it's worthwhile. Building internal support so that if the community objections do come, everyone's on the same page and there's not a temptation to cancel the project. Applying engineering principles, so understanding what you're trying to achieve in terms of, in this example, gradual slowing of vehicles on approach to a roundabout, reducing conflict points, considering different road users and the different vehicles. Essentially, I guess the way to summarise it is you kind of need to know the rules before you can break the rules. So if you know what you're trying to achieve, then you come up with different ways to do it. Engage with the community to try and get them on board. Use intelligent messaging. For example, it may not be best to refer to them as compact roundabouts. You could just refer to them as roundabouts with vertical deflection or speed humps on approach to slow vehicles. But also recognise that the community may not be fully aware of what it is unless they can see an example. So often it's good to see what the community thinks after you've done something as well. Stress test the design, so think about different users and what others might be concerned about and see if the design stands up to scrutiny or if it needs some tweaks. And finally, monitor and evaluate what you do, see how it goes once it's built, apply any learnings to the next project and share the learnings with others where possible. So that's all from me. You can contact me if you're looking for more, looking into your own combat roundabout or you'd like to know more about these. But yeah, thanks for your time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Matt, and congratulations again on your award. And you are very popular. There is lots of questions for you over in the Q&A at the moment. So thank you. We'll keep moving so that we can finish on time. So next slide, thanks. So our final presentation today is another joint presentation. So I'd like to welcome senior engineers from the National Transport Research Organisation, or NTRO, Stephanie Yu and Malcolm Mack, who are going to walk us through the City of Salisbury's Safe Journey Action Plan. So I'll hand over to you guys.
Thanks, Melanie. So my name's Malcolm Mack. Co-presenter today is Stephanie Yu. We're both in the transport safety team at NTRO. So we'll be presenting about some work we've undertaken in collaboration with the City of Salisbury in South Australia. So we've developed an integrated approach to transport safety through a Safe Journeys Action Plan that supports safe movement for a thriving community. So that was the theme of the conference. A bit of background of who we are. NTRO, some of you may know us previously as the Australian Road Research Board. We've, for quite a significant period of time now, have been developing new knowledge and innovative solutions for Australia and New Zealand's transport challenges. Next slide, thanks, Brett. So the City of Salisbury, they approached us. They had a strong vision for the future, but behind that vision, they had some key road safety challenges they needed help to address. Next slide, Brett. So Salisbury wants to continue to create a city that is welcoming, progressive, sustainable, connected, innovative and safe. But they came to us with 4 key challenges which stood in their way, particularly with that last part about being safe. So these were safe travel around schools, crashes. So they noted the recent trend upwards with the road toll, wanting to be proactive in that space. They had some challenges around speeding vehicles and whom driving behaviour. So these needed to be investigated and addressed to achieve a safe and efficient transport network for their community. Next slide, thanks, Brett. And you can probably just click through these as I talk. So just a quick overview of the process we implemented for this project. So we started by reviewing the City of Salisbury's strategic documents and profiled their LGA. We undertook a literature review and a best practice review on those 4 key road safety challenges they came to us with. We aligned with national and SA road safety strategies and Vision Zero targets. And along with that, we completed a crash analysis, a proactive risk assessment as well on some of their common road stereotypes. This gave us a good basis of best practice out there and some of the key issues that Salisbury was facing. We undertook some client workshops with them and stakeholder consultation, understanding what they do, what's been working, what their real pain points are, and then we consolidated all of their findings into a concise set of priority challenges for them and for the plan to focus on. Hand over to Steph now. Next slide, thanks, Brett.
Thank you, Malcolm. So you notice the first dot point that Malcolm had was understanding the local context. So we know that we are on an upwards trend and a one-size-fits-all solution is not going to be possible anymore. So we really wanted to take a context-sensitive approach in developing this holistic action plan. So for those on the call that aren't familiar with the City of Salisbury, like myself coming into the project, the City of Salisbury is Adelaide's 2nd largest local government area with a resident population of about 150,000 people based on 2023 data. It's located approximately 25 kilometers north of the city centre, and it's well connected by various public and active transport links. And that whole northern region there has been set to become the epicenter of economic and social growth over the next 20 years, as identified in the Greater Adelaide Regional Plan. So it's really becoming this important hub in, becoming more progressive, but also ensuring safer outcomes are delivered for this region of Adelaide. In terms of demographics, the City of Salisbury is rich in diversity and cultures with a relatively young population made up of a varied range of socioeconomic backgrounds. So these were quite important things to consider when we went to look at the concerns that Council came to us with and also the potential actions and initiatives that we'll talk about later on. Next slide, please, Brett. And you can click through the next 3 images. So as I mentioned before, City of Salisbury has pretty good public and active transport infrastructure. And just before on the call, we were talking about the O-Bahn that kind of makes its way up towards this area in Adelaide. So a number of bus stops there. It's got a train line that cuts through it, operating at a decent frequency. And what I don't have on this image is the active travel network. But you can see there in that second image that private vehicle usage still dominates as the primary mode of travel within and around the LGA from this graph from ID Community, which is a fantastic resource. And I think this is not too dissimilar from other council areas of this nature, very heavily private vehicle dominated. The last image there is just to highlight that there are a number of schools and education precincts within the LGA. So the local road network is fairly complex with different factors that impact on transport safety. So this is very much a suburban area, and we'll talk a bit more about the local road network in the upcoming slides.
So up on the screen here, we've got the City of Salisbury road network. They're responsible for the operation and maintenance of about 800 kilometres of road. The figure on the left shows the functional road hierarchy. So we can see a number of sub-arterial major collector roads facilitating high movement of people and goods, amongst primarily lower order local roads, which may need to cater for various road user needs. Steph will cover this a little bit more on the next slide. The figure on the right of the screen shows speed zones across the city. Again, there's a wide variety of different road types, different speed environments, road environments within council's remit. So just adding to some of the challenges that they're having to deal with. Next slide, thanks, Brett.
Yeah, so just building on that, like I think this is, it's not a surprise to everyone that roads serve very differing purposes. So the roads here you see on the left, these are roads with high movement functions. They facilitate that movement of people and goods in mixed traffic environments, often at high speeds. Like from that second image in the middle, you can see, there's a bike lane there. There's also a bus stop. And in the third image, it's a rail level crossing. These are the lifelines of the city connecting to other major centers for employment, education, healthcare, and the like. And these are the roads that really add that economic aspect of thriving communities. So click again, Brett, thank you. On the other hand, so City of Salisbury also have many vibrant streets for people with high place aspects and active frontages where we anticipate high movement of pedestrians, cyclists, and place activity. So these are the heart of the community. They provide that social aspect of thriving communities, and they're really quite essential. So what we see here from this slide is that they're a real mix of roads and streets that serve various purposes that fall under council's remit that we need to consider through this action plan. And as I mentioned before, a one-size-fits-all is not possible here. And, today I was just browsing the road safety statistics. Over the past 12 months, we've had 509 vulnerable road user fatalities, unfortunately, and that's up 4.9%. From where we were last year. So these are really important things to consider when we are looking at, safety initiatives for the road environments that we operate in.
So noting the 4 initial challenges that Salisbury raised, we sought to review and validate these through data and address specific issues within the Safe Journey Action Plan. A few of them up on the screen here. Don't have time to cover them all, but a few insights included a high proportion of fatal crashes involving younger drivers and older drivers. A high proportion of male drivers were involved in crashes, in particular more severe crashes. 80% of fatal crashes occurred in 60 km per hour or greater speed zones, despite only representing approximately 12% of their network. Looking at speeding and hoon driving activity, this typically occurred in industrial precincts and roads. However, there were excessive speeds noted around several schools. Which was of particular concern for council. Next slide, thanks, Brad.
Not going to spend too much time on this slide. It was more just to highlight that we ensured that with the initiatives and the actions we've developed, these were aligned to national and state transport strategies and future directions to make sure that the actions respond to key priority areas outlined in these documents, these guidance. So we've got, the National South Australian Road Safety Strategies, AUSRAP assessment methodologies, the Safe System approach, and the movement and place principles. Next slide. Thanks, Brett. So we then took our findings to council to be further workshopped with them into tangible and actionable initiatives. So the first one that I'm going to be talking about here looks at ensuring one of the most vulnerable groups of users on the transport network can leave and return home safely to and from school by creating safer environments around schools. And under each of these initiatives are a number of actions which we've just rolled up into these high-level summaries. So this initiative looks at how City of Salisbury can better monitor and implement speed management initiatives around schools to align with current state government priorities. It looks at improving the safety of existing and future active transport connections to and from schools, as well as continuing to accelerate their existing City of Salisbury school transport framework, which is quite far progressed through partnerships with other state government agencies. So as part of this project, we also consulted with DIT just to find out, what are some funding sources available that City of Salisbury could draw on for some of these improvements.
Initiative 2 looked to ensure infrastructure is planned, designed and delivered with a safe system approach front of mind. So for council, their greatest influence is to ensure that safe roads and safe speeds are provided on their network, meeting the needs of all of their road users. So for them, it means understanding the movement and place functions of each road, understanding the speed environment, which should be implemented, which would be appropriate, ensuring infrastructure is there to support the safe operation of that. This initiative also focuses on understanding the existing risk across the network, helping to prioritise infrastructure improvements for all road users, ensuring linkages with other strategies across council as well. Next click, thanks, Brett.
And I know we hear this said a lot, people are at the center of everything we do, but I think it's really true. And it's something that I always try and tell myself when I'm launching into these things is that, okay, who are we actually delivering this for? Who are we planning for? It's for the community. So this third initiative looks at how City of Salisbury can propel all these changes forward with the community and really asking them what they want in order to shape the future that they are after. So the actions under this initiative looks at fostering new collaborative partnerships with the community and other government entities, more importantly, exploring pathways to test and enable innovation within the community to create new approaches to safety. So we really need to start doing things differently in order to bring that road fatality rate back down from its current incline. And then lastly, putting the spotlight on transport safety at the center of community engagement through meaningful ongoing education, awareness, and advocacy with the local community. Next slide, please, Brett. I've included this slide in here just to give you an idea of the subsequent implementation plan we did for each of the actions. So here's just an example one that I've created, but essentially what it does is it highlights the particular action under the initiative. So in this case, this one is the safe travel to schools. It demonstrates its strategic alignment with the various guidance and strategies I talked about before, but also the specific strategic performance indicators that it relates to from the South Australian Road Safety Action Plan. So a number of them there, and then how it addresses what council came to us to begin with, what the community concerns are. So in this case, this example action here, I addresses, the crash statistics, dangerous driving behavior, and active travel safety, which are the key priority areas for council. It also identifies at a high level the various funding sources that could be drawn on to deliver this work, and then looks at the time frame and cost of delivering this particular action.
You could click through these, Brett, and just wary we've probably gone a little bit over time, but I'll whip through the next couple. So outside of internal funding, councils can pursue a mix of state and federal funding programs and also explore grants which may pop up from time to time. But this highlights the benefits of being prepared when it comes when funding comes online, potentially unexpectedly. Next slide, thanks, Brett. So just to close out, Salisbury's Safe Journey Actions Plan is all about making everyone's journey safer. It features initiatives for safer school zones, improves citywide infrastructure, and strong collaboration with the community and stakeholders. And it seeks to maximise resources and emphasises the importance of working together for lasting change. Next slide, thanks, Brett. So yeah, if you want to find out any more information about this project, please don't hesitate to reach out to Steph or myself. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. And if you've got a question, we've got time, you can whack it in the Q&A. So I'm just going to start at the top of the list and work my way down the questions that we have received. So Tracey, Lucinda, I'm going to throw to you first. And I know that you've already answered it, but in case people weren't checking their Q&A, is there any local government representation within the governance framework to ensure alignment between state and local government initiatives, or is this something that could be considered in the future?
Lucinda, I don't know if you want to talk to this because you answered, otherwise I'm happy to just talk to it.
You can both have a go.
Essentially, yes. The answer is yes.
Yes.
Under the stakeholder partnering group, which is one of those advisory groups that we had on the right-hand side of the governance framework, we do have members from the LGAQ. Yeah.
Which is our local government association, Queensland, for those that might be in other jurisdictions.
Sorry, I forget that not everyone is from Queensland. That's great.
That is okay. Awesome. Thank you. Matt, you have got the lion's share of the questions, so I'm just going to roll through them now. What was the length of the raised platform? Was it the same as the design vehicle?
It was not the same as the design vehicle. So we went with a 6 metre plateau length, so the flat bit at the top, and then varied the ramp gradients to suit the design speed. So the outer platforms had 1 in 30 ramps, so 3 metre long ramps with a 6 metre plateau. The inner ramps designed for 30 k's an hour had 1.5 metre ramps, so 1.5 metres long with a 6 metre plateau. That's our smaller plateaus are another difference to the current state managed DTP in Victoria compact roundabouts, where that's what they do. But when we looked into it, and we were aware of a couple of examples where sort of failed reverse curve roundabouts had race safety platforms introduced, and they use a 6 metre plateau on a much busier state managed road, and there's no issues. So we just didn't see the need to do it, and we haven't any issues since. But yeah, it's another way that we've sort of saved money relative to a state managed compact roundabout that's been done in Victoria.
Awesome. Stability analysis, did you do that in-house or did you go out?
Yeah, no, not in-house. We used a company called Advantia, I think their name is. We're like a truck, specialised truck consultant. They do things other than stability analysis. But yeah, that's who we used, and ran different scenarios of different curb types for the mountable areas, a left turn and a right turn, and that sort of thing. So the reason we did it is to see if the race safety platforms had any impact on stability. There was some thought that after you go over a race safety platform, the suspension bouncing or the oscillation combined with the turning movement may contribute to instability of trucks, but that wasn't found to be the case. It was mostly when it mounted different curbs. So we adjusted some of the curb types to maximise the stability and could achieve a relatively high turning speed, much faster than what we think trucks would actually turn left and right at the roundabout.
Awesome. You may have just answered one of the other questions down in the list, but that's okay. Next up, the raised RAB approach warning signs had a HV stability warning sign for 15 k's. Has there been, this is the one you were just talking about, has there been any stability issues?
There haven't been any stability issues. It was more, that was just a bit of a cautious thing. We debated not putting it in or monitoring and taking it out, but it was more just if a truck somehow misjudged and took the corner either a left turn or a right turn much faster than we thought that it would, that they were aware that mounting a curb could slightly contribute to instability, but up to about I think it was nearly 20 k's an hour, that would be fine. So we just put that in just in case, a bit of an insurance policy.
Did you have any challenges in relation to engineer sign off for the design, given the innovative nature of the project?
We didn't. I think that question was from David. So we likely have a different system in Victoria than in Queensland. So yeah, there's no specific engineering sign-offs required. It's changing a bit with engineering registration, but yeah, we just went through all our checks and balances. Yeah, thought about all the different scenarios, and us in the traffic and transport team are kind of the subject matter experts on road safety within Mornington Peninsula Shire. So we just worked with the designers, got them on board in terms of what we were trying to achieve, and yeah, it was an issue from there. And once we got a road safety audit done, there wasn't much sort of picked up on or any sort of problems or issues arising from that.
Awesome. A couple of comments about lighting. So street lighting's been removed in New South Wales. What's the situation in Victoria for the
So yeah, so I think Adam's talking about where is it? Yeah, on the lighting on the Central Island. So I think that was just a choice from the lighting designer to not have to have an extra, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights around the outside of the roundabout. Some people have said, what if a vehicle hits it in the Central Island? But it's sort of right in the middle. It's not on a loss of control trajectory for any vehicle. That it'd be pretty hard to hit it if you somehow entered the roundabout way too fast. But also the vehicle speeds are so constrained with the inner race safety platforms that speeds are so low that it's not a sort of concern as a rigid hazard. If we had to put lights all around the outside of the island, obviously be more hazards and potentially in more spots that are more likely to get hit either by a turning truck or an errant vehicle. But again, by managing the speeds effectively, there's little concern around sort of losing control or hitting in any sort of speed. And yeah, would have saved a little bit of cost as well by not having as many light poles. There was one other point I was going to make about that, which is slipping my mind, but yeah, in summary, hasn't found to be a concern. It wasn't picked up in a post-construction road safety audit.
Awesome. And the last one for you is, do you think the similar signs, 60 at the first platform, 30 at the second, could confuse drivers? Could there be a need to reinforce the 30 advisory through design in other locations, or do you feel that it's clear as it is?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. So we thought a fair bit about the advanced warning signage, knowing that vertical deflection with road safety platforms in a rural environment is not necessarily what people expect. So by having the first sign, reinforcing the 80 kilometres per hour speed limit well before the roundabout, having a roundabout warning sign after that, knowing so that people understand why they're starting to slow down and why road safety platforms are coming up. Then we thought probably the most critical sign, or one of the most critical signs, was telling people that there's a 60 kilometre per hour platform ahead, so they could start to slow down well in advance. Once you've gone over that 60k platform, you're sort of ready. You can see the roundabout, and then you just need to know what speed is the sort of recommended speed at the 30 kilometre per hour platform. So it seems to be working pretty well and is logical to most people. Once people know there's a roundabout coming up, you would naturally start to slow down anyway, but just telling people what speeds is sort of appropriate for each vertical deflection device is useful and seems to be working pretty well.
Great, thanks, Matt. I know we've got a minute left, but I do want to throw a question to Stephanie and Malcolm. And this is because we don't have a lot of road safety planning happening in New South Wales. So I just wondered, who's the road safety champion that brought this project to you, and was there sort of education engagement that happened with council staff and councillors to kind of bring them up to speed, I guess?
Happy to take this one, Steph. So one of the councillors at the City of Salisbury is a former SA police officer, and project came to us sort of via them, more of a top-down approach where they were, seeing a lot of things in the news about the rising road toll, and there was some quite high-profile fatalities in South Australia at that point in time. So they kind of looked within themselves and said, "What are we doing in this space?" And that sort of triggered this project. In terms of the rest of council, there was a bit of education that was needed in terms of why we were doing what we were doing. So we weren't really reinventing anything or, proposing anything really drastic. They were doing a lot of good work already. It was more about being, more strategic about where they're focusing their efforts. But there was a little bit of education required with some of the councillors around vulnerable road users, speed management, which needed to take place. And that was probably one of the key learnings of the project, was that consultation education piece. Did you want to add anything to that, Steph?
Yeah, just very quickly. Sorry, Brett. I've just seen your message. I think for me, coming in with an external lens, we kind of maybe make our own assumptions. So, I thought, everyone knows what the national and South Australian road safety strategies are. Apparently not. So we got some comments back from, even the project team within council. They said, "Oh, we have a national road safety strategy." So I was quite surprised by that, but I think it's, again, kind of helping them through the process and really just guiding them to these documents and explaining to them why are we doing this and what is the benefit for the broader community.
Awesome, thank you. And apologies for my coughing fit in the middle of all of that. Let's wrap it up because we're over time, but thank you for sticking with us. So upcoming events. Our next event isn't until February because we're having January off. So like I said, placeholder in your calendar, second Wednesday of the month. So ours will be Wednesday, the 11th of February. Watch this space for more information on that. But please consider joining the new Rural Road Safety Network, who are having their first webinar next week. So all that information is on the college's website. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful and safe Christmas, and we will see you in February. Cheers.